In this video today, I'm going to be walking you through how to use Cricut's new offset feature to create a vinyl decal for a Starbucks cup. So as you can see here, we actually have two offset layers. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that and then get it applied onto your cup. I'm using Cricut permanent vinyl. These three colors are actually a part of a spring or summer vinyl bundle that we have that you can snag on our website. Just great colors to get crafting for the spring and summer. And I'm going to be using that vinyl bundle for a few different videos coming up. So this is the first one, so stay tuned for the rest. We are going to be using a Cricut Explore Air 2 today, although you can use any Cricut machine. And you'll need your Starbucks cup, and then I've got a paper trimmer, or you'll need scissors. I've got a scraper, a weeder, and then you'll need a standard grip mat as well. But let's get started. In Cricut's design space, I'm going to show you how I created this offset design using the new offset feature. The first thing that I did was add text to my canvas. So I'm going to select on text, and then I'm going to type in the name. I'm going to make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. I used a script font that I purchased on Etsy from an Etsy shop, and it's called Barley. So I'm going to select this font. And as you can see, it is a script font, and so I want it to be all close together like it is up here. So I'm going to come up to letter space, and I'm going to start with this. I'm going to decrease the space between the letters, so hit that arrow down. But then there will come a point where it's just not going to work anymore, and I need to manually move the letters. So as you can see, there's still odd spaces between. Now the N is kind of overlapped the E. So what I'm going to do is click on Ungroup, and I'm going to click on the letter, and I'm actually using the left button on my keyboard, the left arrow, to move the letters over. So I'm just going to move these until I am happy with their placement. You can also click and drag to move, but I like to use the keyboard just to keep them in line. And then I'm going to highlight the entire thing and then select Weld in the bottom right hand corner. This is now going to make it one single layer image. So then to add the offset is super simple. It's up here. We'll click on offset, and it is in beta mode right now, so you might find things glitch a little bit here and there. That is important to note if you're watching this video when it has first come out. So when you click on it, this window pops up, and as you can see too, we have a preview bubble or the offset around our name. So to adjust the offset, to get that shadow look, if you want it bigger, you can click and drag, and do you see how it is now increasing? And the same thing is true if you go to the left, you'll just decrease the size. And then another thing you can do is select whether it's rounded or it has this edged look. I'm going to leave the rounded one. So I'm actually going to create two offsets for my design. So I want the base one to be a little bit larger. And like I said, you can click and drag, or you also can type in a number. So let's say I want to try 0.5 inches. Okay, that's maybe a little larger than what I'm looking for, but maybe 0.4. So you can experiment and try to type in numbers, or you can just click and drag. But I like this one, so I'm going to say apply. And now our offset has been created. As you can see in the layers panel, it is two separate layers, and they will not be grouped together. So that's important to note. Okay, so now I'm going to create that second offset. So we know our base layer was 0.4, so I'm just going to click and drag this to make it a little bit smaller. I'm just going to watch that preview until I get it to the desired look I'm looking for. Just something narrower so I can layer them. And I think that looks good, so I'm going to say apply. And now my second offset has been created. So that's as simple as it is creating offsets. So now I'm actually going to hide this one. I've got my three layers. So I'm going to just change them to different colors based on the different colors of vinyl, just to give a visual look. These are kind of the rough colors I'm working with. If you want to see what it looks like all together, you can highlight all of them, align center, and we can even, let's group them so we can size them all together. Okay, so the next step is to size it. I know I wanted mine to be about 5 inches, so I'm going to put 5 into the width, leave the lock on, and it will automatically adjust the height. So then that's perfect. Okay, so then from here, make sure you have your correct machine selected, and then we'll click Make It. As you can see, I have all three different layers are going to cut on different mats. To save time, I'm actually going to move all three layers on one mat. So there are two ways you can do this. And if you want to actually leave the layers in the correct colors that they are, then this is the first way you can do this. You can click on these three arrows or three dots and click Move Object and send it to different mats. Same thing with this one, Move Object and send it to the first mat. Then what we're going to do is space out our vinyl, space out our layers. So I'm going to put my name up in the top, put this layer right underneath the three, so you can use these inch marks as a guide, because what we're going to do is place our pink colored vinyl here, the green here, and the other green right underneath the 7. So that's one way to do it. You can also go back and make all three of these the same color if you wanted to. So if you want them all to be, let's say, pink, obviously we can't see anything. You can ungroup this here. Then when you click on Make It, they would be on the same mat as well, right? But if you want to be able to visually see your layers, then you can use the Move Object tool, which I find to be really handy. I like to be able to see my layers when I'm designing my projects, so I'm just going to put these all back together. So there's two ways to do that, and the goal here is just to save time cutting vinyl. So I just wanted to show you guys that. So to cut my vinyl to size, I'm using a paper trimmer. You can definitely just use scissors as well, but I find it to be really helpful to use this when cutting vinyl because it can just get it exactly correct. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all this, and then we'll get it applied onto our cutting mat. The next thing I'm going to do is get these pieces of vinyl lined up on the cutting mat. I am using a standard grip cutting mat today, but you could also use a light grip for this as well. So I'm going to start with this first piece of vinyl and get that lined up. And my mat is pretty new, so I don't really need to use a scraper tool, but if you need to help burnish it onto your mat, you can use that as well. And then I'm going to grab my green, and I'm just looking at my computer to make sure I get this lined up correctly with where I dragged it on the map preview screen. So it looks like this was just under 3, and then this one is just under 7. Okay, so that's now perfect. So the next thing we're going to do is get our Explore Air 2 opened up. You can use any Cricut machine for this project. I'm just going to go ahead and get this loaded in. It will work on the Explorers, the Joy, or the Maker. And then I've got vinyl selected on my smart dial, and I'm going to get cutting. Okay, so while this is cutting, I went ahead and cut a piece of transfer tape down to size. So I've got that ready, and you can see here why this saves time. You can cut each individual color on its own single mat, but you just have to reload 3 different times. So this tool, moving the objects on the map preview screen, will actually save you just a little bit of time. We'll get this unloaded. And then to remove the materials from the mat, especially since this is a brand new mat and it's really sticky, I like to flip the mat over, bend the mat back, and pull the material off to keep it straight. Now that the vinyl has been cut, we are going to weed it. So I've got a weeder tool here, and all we're going to do is start in the top left-hand corner and remove the vinyl from around the designs. And then on the name, we'll also have vinyl to remove on the inside as well. So there's our 2 offsets, and then now I'm going to weed the name. I like to pull down at a 45-degree angle and kind of keep it as tight as I can, and just kind of wiggle, rock back and forth. And now I'm going to do the inside of the name. So here are our 3 layers. This is our base layer. And then we have the middle layer. And then we have my name. I'm going to layer all of these onto this base layer before I put it onto my cup. So we're not going to need to do anything to this dark green layer at the moment. We're going to apply the layers backwards. So we've got our base layer. Now I'm going to take that transfer tape and I'm going to apply it onto my middle layer. And I'm going to take that scraper tool and I'm going to push down on the top. And then I'm also going to flip it and do it from the back side as well. Then I'm going to grab from the top corner and remove the back of the vinyl, the paper backing. And now we're going to get it lined up onto the base. So we're just going to kind of eyeball it. We're going to center it and then lay that down when it looks good. And then apply your scraper tool real good onto here. And then we'll remove the transfer tape, pulling down again at that angle, rocking back and forth. And now we're going to do the same thing to the name. Apply the transfer tape, scrape really good on the front, and then on the back side as well. Remove the paper backing and get it lined up onto the other two pieces of vinyl. Okay, so then from here, we're going to leave the transfer tape on. So it's got all 3 layers, and now we're gonna burnish onto the back. Because from here, then we're going to apply it onto our cup. Okay, so let's talk about the cup quick. There are a lot of people that recommend using rubbing alcohol, which is a great tool to clean your cup. I'm just gonna clean mine down with water, actually. Sometimes I find that the rubbing alcohol takes the ink off of the cup. So I'm just going to wipe this on with some water and then we'll apply it on. But you can use rubbing alcohol as well. Maybe just do like a little area, test and see, whatever is best for you. All right, so now we're going to apply the vinyl label onto the cup, and you're gonna want to figure out some way to keep your cup in place. So I just grabbed a coffee mug and a water bottle and kind of like just sandwiching it between. And I'm gonna put my label between the Starbucks logo and these little squares back here. So I'm gonna start by removing the paper backing. And now we've got our entire 3-piece onto here. And I'm just gonna get this lined up on my cup, trying to center it between the logo and those boxes. So I think there about looks good. Now I'm gonna start in the middle and work my way to the sides. As you can see, I'm just using my finger to push down. If you have a more complex design, using a method like the hinge method might be really helpful for this. That's a great way to apply vinyl onto curved surfaces. But since this was simple enough, I was able to get away with this. But I will leave a link above for a video on how to use the hinge method. So now I'm going to take my scraper tool and just apply it down. Once you feel like it's stuck really good, we're just going to remove. And then I'm gonna just smooth it out again with my fingers because I can see a few air bubbles, so we'll just smooth those out. And then I'm gonna grab my scraper tool and just help to apply it on as well. But other than that, that is how you make a multi-layered offset design in Cricut Design Space, applying it to a Starbucks cup. So I will leave a link for everything that I used in the comments below. You can snag all of this on our website, which is www.craft-e-corner.com. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below, but thanks so much for watching our video today.